Black Friday deals under $4.99. In this video, we're going to be taking a look at 12 games that are less than $5 on the PlayStation Store Black Friday sale. And you're going to be surprised about what games you can get for under $5 on the PlayStation Store in this sale. Hey everybody, if you're a new viewer of the channel, please consider hitting that subscribe button down below. I make new videos about PlayStation stuff every single day on the channel. This is actually my last video about the Black Friday sale. I have a number of other videos up looking at biggest discounts, games under $10, easiest platinum trophies, so feel free to check those out in the link in the description down below. This video is going to focus on the 12 best games on the PlayStation Store Black Friday sale under $5, in my personal opinion. Let's have a look at the first game. Lords of the Fallen. Lords of the Fallen being a Souls-like game. This came out really early on the PlayStation 4's life cycle, and it was a indie or low-budget B-tier Souls-like. The game actually was received very well early on the PlayStation 4's life cycle. Now, at the end of the PS4's life cycle, it's interesting to look back at how far Souls-like games have come. This was before Bloodborne was released. This was before Dark Souls 3 was released. And this was kind of the best that the console had. And that was until Dark Souls 2 got ported over to the PlayStation 4, which kind of took it over. Now, obviously, we have Sekiro, Dark Souls 1, 2, 3, Bloodborne, all of the above. And this game's kind of fallen a little bit more into obscurity. However, it's still a really decent Souls-like game. Keep in mind, it is a budget tier game, third-person action game. As long as you go into it with the right expectations, for $2.99, this game is a steal. It's an absolute bargain of a deal, and you can have a ton of fun with it. Onrush. This is the, I don't know if I'd call it like the doomed racing game from Codemasters. The team that made this game was actually ex-Sony guys who worked on Drive Club, which I know had problems, but then kind of got back on track towards the end of its time before they shut the studio down. Onrush was a arcadey racing game, kind of a spiritual successor to the MotorStorm franchise, which Evolution, the ex-Sony developers, worked on before they went on to work on Drive Club. Onrush you take part in these massive scale races where you have to take out other drivers. You've got a combination of like heavy vehicles, light vehicles racing against each other, motorcycles. It's a mixture of a combat and racing game. Super arcadey though. So if you're into, the MotorStorm franchise, the Burnout franchise, things like that, this game has essence of those games, but it probably doesn't meet the great heights of those games. Now, on saying that, the game is only $1.99, which is an absolute steal for a game like this. I mean, a lot of the games on this list are a steal, but $1.99 is a great deal for a game like this. It's a great deal for any game, to be honest, especially considering it was a full-price retail game at one point. Next up, we have The Surge, which, interestingly enough, is actually another Souls-like game. Surge is a futuristic Souls-like game, so rather than taking the fantasy angle, they take the apocalyptic mech angle, essentially a Souls-like in a robotic environment. The mechanics are very similar to Lords of the Fallen, which we talked about, and then obviously Dark Souls. The one thing it does differently is it has this auto-targeting system where you can choose a limb or body part to target and attack when you're doing your combat. That same methodical combat, but you can choose to attack an arm or a leg or whatever it may be to cripple somebody or impact them slightly differently. Then you can also enhance your body and augment your body based on limbs and things like that as well. So it does kind of do things slightly uniquely. It does incorporate some unique elements. The setting of this game is really cool, albeit it does get a little bit stale after a while, but a very different vibe to the Souls-like games, and if you enjoy that genre of gameplay, like I do, then this is a really neat change of pace. The game is $4.99 as well on the PlayStation Store. I remember paying $60 for this game when it first came out, so it's a good deal for $4.99. Next up we have the Technomancer. Now this is one that I'm sure a lot of you guys haven't heard of before. The artwork for this game is so cool. I remember when I saw this for the first time and I was like, wow, what is this game? Now it is a AA game, so it is a more budget title, but it's made to be very similar to the Mass Effect franchise, but not obviously at the same level as the Mass Effect franchise. The guys who made this, which are Spiders Interactive, were obviously very heavily inspired by BioWare and Mass Effect, and their two sort of franchises being a space game and a fantasy game, and then Spiders went on to do the same thing. This is their space version of the game, the Technomancer. You're a race of people based on Mars, I believe, and it has these sort of third-person action mechanics mixed with these light RPG mechanics as well. Very similar to Mass Effect. You got choice-based narrative arcs and things like like that. You have to fight monsters, you have to fight aliens, you have to fight humans. Very, very similar to that, but obviously on a much more budget scale. The game itself is only $3.99, which is a great deal for a game like this. It's going to take you like 30, 40 hours to get through this entire game. So, you know, for $4, you're getting a pretty massive amount of content here. So if you enjoyed Mass Effect or that style of gameplay, then this could be one to check out. Next up, we have the Sony published game Tearaway. This game is $4.99 on the store at the moment. Tearaway was originally a PlayStation Vita game developed by Media Molecule and used kind of to show off the features of the Vita, whether it be the camera or the touchpad, things like that. But the game was very good mascot platformer, 3D mascot platformer, using a lot of unique functionality. Tearaway Unfolded is the PlayStation 4 port of that game, but they also enhanced it and changed a lot of stuff to work with the DualShock 4 and work with the specific features of the DualShock 4 and the PlayStation 4. If you're after a really cute mascot platformer that kind of reminds you of the mascot platformers of old, Tearaway is worth checking out. I know it kind of feels a bit cheesy and it's been around for a while now, so it probably gets written off a little bit. And we now actually have a lot of really good mascot platformers, including Crash on the PlayStation 4. So this one definitely falls by the wayside, but for $4.99, it's a really, really solid mascot experience. Bound by Flame. This one here is, I've got fond memories of this game. This was actually a launch window title for the PlayStation 4. And as you can see by the gameplay on screen now, it looks pretty rough by today's standards. It's amazing how far we've come from the beginning of the PS4 to the end of the PS4 now. This game, I remember looking really good when the PlayStation 4 first came out, and I played it thinking, you know, it was a pretty decent AA fantasy style game, very similar to I guess Dragon Age Lite, maybe like a budget version of Dragon Age, and I remember having a great time with it. Looking at it now, it does look like a PlayStation 3 game potentially, but the game is super cheap. It's only $1.99 on the PlayStation Store, so you're getting a really good deal here. You just have to bear with the fact that it's looking a little bit dated, and it probably plays a little bit dated as well. It's pretty incredible to compare this now to some of the launch PlayStation 5 games, which is what this essentially would have been for the PlayStation 4, and just looking at where we're at, which is, you know, it's pretty amazing actually. Next up, we have a guilty pleasure of mine, Ape Escape 2. This is the PlayStation 2 version of Ape Escape 2, ported to the PlayStation 4. It was part of that Sony sort of PS2 to PS4 emulation program they were doing for a while there. Not enough games got released as part of that, but Ape Escape 2 was fortunately one of them. It's essentially the same PS2 game, but it has been just slightly enhanced. I don't even know how this would run on the PS5. I imagine it would run even better on the PS5. I need to check that at some point. Ape Escape being a classic mascot platform from the PS1 and PS2 generation. This one here was on the PS2. You play as this boy who has to go hunt all the monkeys. You got to get him in a net, hit him with a sword, put him in his bag, and you get to collect all the monkeys. In this game specifically, you're traveling through like a TV dimension, and there's lots of movie references and television references in here, and you have to catch all the monkeys in these like really cool, unique settings. It's a fun game. Ape Escape is great. If you haven't played Ape Escape before, worth doing. It's worth playing. The game was developed and designed to show off how analog sticks can be used in unique ways, and the control scheme for this is kind of complicated because of that, but it does use the analog sticks in very unique ways. So it's a little bit of gaming history. Blood Bowl 2 is currently $2.99 as well in the PlayStation Store. Blood Bowl has been a franchise that's been around for a couple of generations now. It's a Warhammer property, but it's a take on NFL. Turn-based action game. I mean, Madden's kind of turn-based as well. It's kind of a turn-based RPG. This is sort of, I guess, the same thing. It's like a turn-based strategy game essentially, but based on NFL. It's pretty cool. You get to play as all the different characters or races from the Warhammer franchise. If you're into Warhammer, this is really neat as well. It's kind of a weird crossover mixing football and Warhammer together. It's probably not something I would have ever thought would have worked, but it does actually work surprisingly well. I guess if you just break Madden down and look at it from its base point, it kind of is just an RPG. So I guess it kind of works by doing this. So yeah, Blood Bowl 2, $2.99 on the PlayStation Store. This one here is an epic deal. Just Cause 3 is $3.99. Just Cause is a open world mayhem franchise, I would say. You get to play as this guy called Rico Rodriguez, and he goes onto these islands and liberates them. I think that's the general gist of it. Just Cause 3 was the first Just Cause game to come out on the PlayStation 4. It was followed up by Just Cause 4. These are Square Enix published games. Massive sandbox open world. You get these overpowered abilities and guns. You get to use a slingshot to sling yourself around a level, and a parachute and a wingsuit. You can fly around and do all this crazy stuff. It plays with some really cool open world mechanics that kind of differentiates itself from other open world games like Grand Theft Auto and stuff. Obviously not hitting the heights of something like that, but doing things slightly differently to stand out from the crowd, which is very commendable. Ubisoft's racing game, The Crew, the original one, is $4.99 on the PlayStation Store as well. The Crew being it's basically a racing RPG. You level up your cars, you join a team or a crew of people, and you race together. It has the bells and whistles that most Ubisoft games have, where you have to unlock areas of the map and unlock different missions and collect things, and kind of that same Ubisoft formula. This was kind of like Ubisoft the Game Racing Edition, or Assassin's Creed Racing Edition, maybe you should say. It's a decent racing game though, and for $4.99, it's a pretty good deal. This one here is cheating slightly. Overcooked is $5.09. I know it's 9 cents over, but it's still a good deal. Overcooked is a really, really fun couch co-op game. You have to fulfill the restaurant's orders, and you need to work together as a team with your co-op buddy to be able to do that. I think you can play the game solo, but it's just enormously harder. The game requires so much communication between someone chopping, someone cooking, someone serving, someone cleaning, and you have to basically just run a kitchen. It's mayhem, it's hectic. I've had so many arguments with my wife about this game, but it's a heck of a lot of fun, and it's well worth checking out. I couldn't not include it, even though it was 9 cents over. It had to be included here. Next up, we have Unravel. This is the original game by EA. This was part of EA's sort of indie program that they were running for a little while there, where they were publishing smaller, more independent games. Unravel is a 2D side-scroller game. You play as this guy called Yanni. He's this dude made out of yarn. You have to use his rope ability to swing around things, to jump, to climb. Very similar 2D platformer style game. Just visually, it's pretty cool and pretty neat to look at. The game is $3.99 on the PlayStation Store sale. Now, this game is discounted quite frequently, and I do recommend this one quite often because it's normally discounted, and it has a pretty easy platinum trophy as well, so that's why it kind of fits into a few of these different lists. But $3.99 at the moment if you're after that one. And there you go, that is 12 games on the PlayStation Store Black Friday sale that you can pick up for less than $5. There's actually a ton more stuff that is less than $5 on the store sale, but I think these are the 12 best games that you can get, and that's making the list any longer than that I think would have just been inefficient and probably not practical for everyone to watch as well. Let me know if you've picked up any of these games in the past before, or if you have any other recommendations for cheap games to pick up in the store sale. Maybe you're playing some of these games at the moment, let me know as well. Thank you guys so much for watching. If you enjoyed this video, give it a thumbs up. If you didn't enjoy, give it a thumbs down, and I'll see you guys all in tomorrow's video. Thanks for watching. Bye.